I hear from teachers all the time saying that there's just not enough time to fit everything into your day. When do you have time to teach science or social studies or even writing? So today I thought I'd share some tips on how you can do that with units of study. Specifically, today we're going to talk about how you can combine science and writing by teaching kids about animal habitats. So let's get started. One of the units that we did every year was about animal habitats. I'd either teach this unit in the fall or the winter. I liked doing it in the fall because we could talk about the things animals do to get ready for winter and hibernation and stuff like that. But sometimes I taught it in the winter because that seemed like a great time to learn about polar animals and how those animals adapted to the cold. So, one of our science standards in first grade talks about how living things have basic needs to survive and that those needs are met in the environment that they live in. So an animal habitat unit is perfect for that standard. So to begin our unit, we'd simply learn about what a habitat is and some of the different habitats for animals. We usually made a big anchor chart where we'd list habitats like the desert, ocean, forest, wetland, Arctic, and the rainforest. I think those were the six that we talked about. And then we'd fill in the different qualities of those habitats and some of the animals that live there. I've always used epic books to help teach the kids about the habitats because there's lots of really great nonfiction books on there that are perfect for first grade. They can give just enough information, but they don't overwhelm the kids or they're not over their heads. So sometimes we'd watch some YouTube videos on different habitats too. You can find lots of short videos on YouTube. There may be like 5 minutes long that show the different habitats, and they're just perfect for little kids. You used to be able to save the videos into playlists, but they don't allow that anymore on YouTube. But all you have to do is search animal habitats for kids, and they'll all come up. All right, another thing that we used to do, especially if I taught the unit in the fall, was we took a trip to the zoo. I liked to go at the start of the unit because then the kids could actually see real live animals, which helped them a lot when they started their animal research. We have the Cleveland Zoo very near to us, which is huge. And most places have a zoo of some sort relatively close, I would think. But of course, if it's not possible for you to do that, you can always do online videos that'll show kids different animals in their native habitats too. So once we sort of had a good background on what the different habitats were and some of the animals that live there, I'd let each of the kids choose an animal that they wanted to learn more about. I had a whole stack of nonfiction scholastic books that were on a bunch of different animals. So I'd spread those books out on a table and let the kids look through them and choose their animal. Sometimes I'd pair the kids up and they'd work together to do their research. And if you don't have books like that, you can always just make a big list of animals on the board and then let the kids choose from the animals that you have on your list. Then I'd set the kids up on Epic Books online, and I'd make little libraries of different animals, and the kids could log in and they'd read more about their animal there. The really nice thing about Epic Books is that they have books that will read to the kids. So if you have struggling readers, they can just listen to the story, and that's great for them. Then after the kids learned all about their animal, they'd fill out a little graphic organizer about their animal, and they'd put a few things down that they learned about their animal, and it was sort of a place to organize their thoughts. And then they put it all together into a report. We used a really simple little flip book. They had to write the name of their animal, its habitat, what it ate, and a couple of interesting facts that they learned about their animal. The flip book was really simple. It was perfect for first grade, and it had places on each page for illustrations too. The flip book, the anchor charts, all of this that I'm talking about, it's all a part of my animal habitats resource on TPT. And you can take a closer look at that if you're interested at firstdyland.com/habitat, or I'll put a link to it in the show notes too. And so then the final and the really most exciting part of this unit was when the kids would build their animal habitats. They really loved this part, and I did too, because it gave the kids a chance to get creative and really demonstrate what they learned about their animal and its habitat. So what I did was I had each student bring in a shoebox from home. I always kept a couple extra on hand in case somebody forgot. And then I'd also send home a list of things that parents could donate that the kids could use in their habitats. The list had stuff like cotton balls and fake snow, aluminum foil, fake flowers and grasses, tiny rocks and twigs, just all sorts of different things that people might have in their craft stashes at home. I always got lots of stuff sent in, and then I'd separate the stuff into trays and baskets according to habitats. Like I put all the white stuff like cotton balls or aluminum foil or the fake snow, all of that on one tray, and that would be good for the Arctic habitat, stuff like that. So then on the day that the kids were going to make their habitats, I'd let them sort of shop for materials and I just let them go to town making their habitats. I had some photos of some of the shoebox habitats that my classes had made in the past, and I'd show those to my kids just to give them a little inspiration, and they would just go to town creating their animal habitat. It was super hands-on. It was a little bit messy, but all the best activities really are. And I don't know, it probably took them about an hour to make their habitats. And then when we were all done, the kids would share their habitat with the class and tell a little bit about what they'd learned about their animal and where it lives. It was a great project-based learning unit. The kids loved it, and we were able to fit science and writing into our week. We'd spend maybe 30 minutes each day on this unit for a week, and then we made our habitats on Friday, so we did spend a little bit more time on that. So that's how you do it. When you combine subjects like science or social studies with writing, you're able to fit more into your day and teach those subjects in a really hands-on way that kids not only enjoy more, but they also retain the information because they're so engaged in the lessons. I also wrote a blog post about this unit, and that shows everything we did. It has a bunch of photos of the kids completing their shoebox habitats. And so if you want to take a closer look at that, you can head to firsteland.com/animal habitats. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes, along with links to everything else that I mentioned in today's episode. I hope this episode today helped you think of other ways that you can start to integrate your subjects to not only sort of streamline your lessons, but also give you more time to fit subjects like science and social studies into your day. All right, that's it for today, friends. Don't forget about the Winter Read Aloud Challenge. It's going on all month, and it's not too late to join. You can find out more about that in the show notes. And until next week, remember to make learning feel like play. I'll see you soon.